Welcome to Motivation Vault. Today we will explore the book, Overcome Negative Thinking and Cultivate Positivity. If you've ever felt weighed down by self-doubt, anxiety, or constant negativity, this lesson is for you. We're diving deep into how to overcome negative thinking and cultivate positivity, a skill that can transform your mental well-being, relationships, and overall success. Negativity doesn't just ruin your mood, it shapes your reality. Studies show that 75% of our daily thoughts are negative, and if left unchecked, they can lead to stress, poor decision-making, and even long-term mental health challenges. I've been there, stuck in a loop of pessimism where every setback felt like proof that life was working against me. But the moment I learned to shift my mindset, everything changed. And that's exactly what I want to share with you today. So if you're ready to take control of your thoughts and unlock a happier, more empowered version of yourself, let's get started. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss our weekly mindset-boosting content. Now, let's dive in. Chapter 1. Understanding Negative Thinking. Negative thinking patterns are habitual ways of interpreting situations that lean toward pessimism, self-doubt, and fear. These mental habits distort reality, amplifying problems while minimizing solutions or positive aspects. One common pattern is catastrophizing, assuming the worst possible outcome will happen, even when evidence suggests otherwise. A single setback becomes a spiral of imagined disasters, fueling anxiety and paralysis. Another is black and white thinking, where situations are viewed in extremes, perfect or failure, brilliant or worthless, with no middle ground. This rigidity ignores nuance, making setbacks feel like total defeats. Overgeneralization is another trap, where one negative event is seen as an endless pattern. Shows that I always mess up. Personalization assumes blame for things beyond one's control, while mind reading assumes others' thoughts are negative. So they must think I'm incompetent. These patterns often operate automatically, lurking beneath conscious awareness yet shaping emotions and behaviors. The impact of persistent negativity extends far beyond fleeting sadness or frustration. Mentally, it erodes resilience, making challenges feel insurmountable and reinforcing a sense of helplessness. Over time, this can contribute to anxiety disorders or depression, as the brain strengthens neural pathways. Pessimism. Relationships suffer too. Constant self-criticism can morph into hypersensitivity to others' feedback, breeding defensiveness or withdrawal. Negativity also skews social interactions. Assuming the worst in people may lead to unfair accusations or emotional distance, creating a self-fulfilling prophecy where others pull away. Productivity takes a hit as well. A mind preoccupied with what-ifs or self-criticism struggles to focus, drains motivation and avoids risks, stifling creativity and problem-solving. Even small tasks feel exhausting when filtered through a lens of dread or inadequacy. Recognizing these patterns is the first step toward interrupting them. Self-reflection can help uncover recurring mental loops. What scenarios trigger your worst-case scenarios? Do you dismiss compliments while fixating on criticism? In conflicts, do you assume malice where none exists? Tracking thoughts during stressful moments without judgment reveals patterns. For instance, after a work mistake, do you think, I'm terrible at my job, or this is one error, I can learn from it? The former reinforces shame while the latter fosters growth. Another useful question, how would you advise a friend in your situation? Often we're harsher on ourselves than on others. Identifying these double standards softens self-criticism. Negative thinking isn't a life sentence, it's a habit, and habits can be reshaped with awareness and practice. The key lies not in suppressing bad thoughts, but in noticing them, questioning their validity, and choosing a more balanced perspective. Chapter 2. The Science of Positivity. The human brain is far more adaptable than once believed. Neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to reorganize itself by forming new neural connections, shows that repeated thoughts and behaviors physically reshape its structure. Just as a path becomes well-worn with frequent travel, neural pathways associated with habitual thinking grow stronger, while unused ones weaken. This means pessimism isn't a fixed trait, but a mental habit reinforced over time. The good news? The same principle applies to optimism. By consciously practicing positive thought patterns, we can forge new pathways, gradually shifting our default responses. Research in cognitive neuroscience reveals that focused mental exercises, like reframing negative events or savoring positive moments, strengthen regions like the prefrontal cortex, which regulates emotion and decision-making. Over time, these changes reduce the brain's reactivity to stress and enhance resilience. Gratitude, for instance, isn't just a sentimental notion, it's a powerful tool with measurable effects. Studies, such as those by psychologists Robert Emmons and Michael McCullough, found that participants who kept weekly gratitude journals reported higher optimism, better sleep, and even fewer physical ailments compared to those who recorded irritations or neutral events. Regularly acknowledging positive experiences trains the brain to scan for what's working, rather than fixating on problems, counteracting the negativity bias, our evolutionary tendency to prioritize threats. Similarly, positive affirmations, when rooted in authenticity, can rewire self-perception. Research in social cognitive and affective neuroscience shows that self-affirmation activates the brain's reward centers, reducing defensive reactions to criticism. However, empty platitudes, I'm perfect, often backfire. Effective affirmations are specific, believable, and action-oriented. I am capable of learning from mistakes. The psychological benefits of these practices extend beyond mood enhancement. A study from the University of Pennsylvania found that employees who wrote down 3 good things each day for a week experienced increased happiness and decreased stress levels 6 months later. Another experiment with college students revealed that those practicing gratitude showed greater neural sensitivity in the medial prefrontal cortex, a region linked to learning and decision-making, suggesting positivity enhances cognitive flexibility. Even small shifts in language matter. Stanford research highlights that replacing I have to with I get to reframes obligations as privileges, reducing resentment and increasing motivation. To apply this science, start by keeping a negativity log for 3 days. Record moments when pessimism arises, noting the trigger, for example, a missed deadline, the automatic thought, I'll never succeed, and its emotional impact, anxiety, defeat. This log isn't about self-judgment, but awareness, a map of where mental habits need rerouting. Pair this with a daily practice, jotting down 3 things you're grateful for, or reframing 1 negative thought with evidence. I've recovered from setbacks before. Consistency matters more than intensity. Brief, regular exercises create lasting neural change. The brain doesn't distinguish between real and practiced thoughts. It strengthens what's repeated. By deliberately cultivating positivity, we don't deny life's challenges, but equip ourselves to meet them with clarity and hope. Chapter 3. Challenging your inner critic. The voice inside your head that whispers, "You're not good enough," or "You'll fail, so why try?" isn't an objective truth teller. It's a mental habit, often shaped by past experiences, fears, or societal expectations. Cognitive restructuring, a core technique in cognitive behavioral therapy (CBT), helps dismantle these distortions by examining their validity and replacing them with balanced, evidence-based thoughts. The process begins with identifying automatic negative thoughts, those immediate, unquestioned reactions that color perception. For instance, after a minor mistake at work, the thought "I'm terrible at my job" might surface. Instead of accepting it, cognitive restructuring teaches us to challenge it. Is this really true? Have I succeeded before? Does one mistake define my entire ability? One effective method is the 3 C's: catch, check, change. First, catch the negative thought as it arises. Next, check its accuracy by asking, what evidence supports this? What contradicts it? Would I say this to a friend? Finally, change the thought to something more realistic and compassionate. If the inner critic insists, "You embarrassed yourself in that meeting," the restructured version might be, "I stumbled over a few words, but I prepared well, and no one is judging me as harshly as I am." Over time, this practice weakens the grip of irrational self-criticism. Another powerful exercise is writing a letter to your inner critic. Personify this voice, give it a name, a tone, even an absurd appearance. A grumpy troll, perhaps. Then, confront it on paper. Why do you always assume the worst? What's your real goal to protect me? or hold me back. By externalizing the critic, you create psychological distance, making it easier to recognize its irrationality. Follow this with a compassionate reframe, rewriting its accusations with fairness. If the critic snarls, "You'll never finish this project. You're too disorganized," respond with, "I've completed difficult tasks before. I can break this into steps and ask for help if needed." Consider Elena, a graphic designer who constantly undermined her work. After every client presentation, she'd obsess over tiny flaws, convinced they'd fire her. Her inner critic, "You're a fraud," led to procrastination and burnout. Through cognitive restructuring, she began documenting evidence against these thoughts: positive client feedback, successful past projects, and the fact that perfection wasn't expected. She also wrote dialogues with her inner critic, eventually realizing it stemmed from a former boss's harsh critiques. By reframing, "I'm a fraud," to "I'm still growing, and that's okay," she reduced her anxiety and began advocating for her skills. Within months, her self-sabotage faded, and she landed her biggest contract yet. The inner critic thrives on unquestioned authority, but when challenged with logic, compassion, and consistent practice, its power wanes. The goal isn't to eliminate self-doubt entirely, that's unrealistic, but to ensure it doesn't dictate your choices. Every time you rewrite a harsh narrative, you reclaim a little more confidence, one thought at a time. Chapter 4. The Power of Gratitude. Gratitude is more than polite thankfulness. It's a neurological reset button. Research in positive psychology and neuroscience reveals that consistent gratitude practice physically alters the brain, strengthening areas associated with emotional regulation, empathy, and resilience. A landmark study by Dr. Richard Davidson at the University of Wisconsin found that participants who engaged in daily gratitude exercises showed increased activity in the prefrontal cortex, the region responsible for decision-making and emotional balance. Over time, their brains became less reactive to stress and more attuned to positive experiences, a phenomenon known as cortical thickening, where repeated mental exercises enhance neural density in key areas. Another study published in Neuroimage demonstrated that gratitude activates the hypothalamus, which regulates essential functions like sleep, appetite, and metabolism. This may explain why people who keep gratitude journals report better sleep quality and lower levels of inflammation. Further research from UCLA found that gratitude stimulates the release of dopamine and serotonin, neurotransmitters linked to happiness, effectively creating a natural antidepressant effect without side effects. The benefits extend beyond biology. A Harvard Medical School study tracked two groups. One wrote about things they were grateful for, while the other recorded daily irritations. After 10 weeks, the gratitude group reported higher optimism, increased motivation, and even fewer doctor visits. Socially, gratitude strengthens relationships. A study in emotion showed that thanking a colleague or friend not only boosts their mood, but also makes them more likely to seek an ongoing connection, fostering trust and cooperation. Daily gratitude practices that rewire your brain. The key to lasting change is consistency, not intensity. Small daily habits create deeper neural shifts than occasional grand gestures. One simple but powerful exercise is the 3 small wins method. Each night for a week, write down one personal achievement, for example. I finished a difficult task I'd been avoiding. 2. One moment of joy or beauty, for example. The sunset was breathtaking today. 3. One person or interaction you appreciated, for example. My coworker made me laugh during a stressful day. This practice combats the brain's negativity bias, its tendency to prioritize problems over positives. By deliberately focusing on small victories, you train your mind to scan for what's working, not just what's wrong. Gratitude Journal Template, 7-Day Guide, Day 1. Grounding in the present. What's one ordinary thing you're grateful for today? For example, tea, hot coffee in the morning. How did it make your day better? Day 2. Overcoming challenges. What's one obstacle you handled well? What strength did you use to get through it? Day 3. People who lift you up, who made a positive difference in your day. However small, how can you acknowledge them? Day 4. Sensory appreciation. What's one thing you saw, heard, or felt that brought you joy? Day 5. Past blessings. What's one past experience you're still grateful for? How did it shape you? Day 6. Future optimism. What's one thing you're looking forward to? Why does it matter to you? Day 7. Self-gratitude. What's one thing you appreciate about yourself? How have you grown recently? Gratitude doesn't just change your brain, it changes your behavior. People who practice it regularly become more proactive, as acknowledging good fortune motivates them to pay it forward. They also develop higher emotional intelligence, recognizing subtle kindnesses they previously overlooked. Over time, gratitude shifts your default perspective from what's missing to what's here, a mental framework that attracts more opportunities, deeper relationships, and enduring resilience. Try the 3 small wins challenge tonight. In a week, you might notice subtle shifts, less morning dread, more spontaneous smiles, or a newfound ability to find light, even on tough days. The brain learns what you teach it, so why not teach it gratitude? Chapter 5. Mindfulness and Emotional Detachment. The mind is like a turbulent river. Thoughts and emotions rush through constantly, pulling us into worries about the future or regrets about the past. Mindfulness is the practice of stepping back from this current, observing our mental patterns without getting swept away. Unlike suppression or forced positivity, mindfulness teaches us to witness our thoughts with curiosity rather than judgment. Research from Harvard and Massachusetts General Hospital shows that just 8 weeks of mindfulness meditation can shrink the amygdala, the brain's fear center, while thickening the prefrontal cortex, enhancing emotional regulation. Most negative thought loops persist because we fight them. Siege, I shouldn't feel this way, or fuse with them. Siege, well, this thought defines me. Mindfulness offers a third option, detached observation. Try this. 1. Pause and notice. When a stressful thought arises, there is, I'm going to fail. Pause and name it. Ah, there's my old fear of failure. 2. Imagine thoughts as clouds. Visualize thoughts passing through your mind like clouds in the sky. You wouldn't yell at a cloud or clutch it. You simply watch it drift. 3. Anchor in the body. Place a hand on your chest or belly. Feel your breath. This grounds you in the present, away from mental stories. A study in biological psychiatry found that this meta-awareness, awareness of your awareness, weakens the emotional charge of thoughts, making them easier to release. Guided exercise. 5-minute breathing meditation to interrupt negativity. 1. Settle in. Sit comfortably. Close your eyes and take 3 deep breaths. 2. Focus on breath. Feel the air entering your nostrils, filling your lungs, and leaving your body. No need to control it. Just observe. 3. When thoughts arise, your mind will wander. Instead of scolding yourself, gently say, thinking, and return to the breath. 4. Expand awareness. After a few minutes, notice sounds, body sensations, and emotions without labeling them good or bad. 5. Close with kindness. Whisper a phrase of self-compassion. May I be at ease. Practicing this daily trains the brain to pause before reacting, creating space between a triggering event and your response. Over time, negativity loses its automatic grip. The RAIN method, a mindfulness tool for difficult emotions developed by psychologist McKelly McDonald. RAIN is a 4-step practice to process emotions without being overwhelmed. 1. Recognize. Name what's happening. I'm feeling anxious about my presentation. 2. Accept. Allow the emotion to exist without resistance. It's okay to feel this. 3. Investigate. Explore the emotion with gentle curiosity. Where do I feel this in my body? What triggered it? 4. Non-identify. Separate yourself from the emotion. I am feeling anxiety, but I am not my anxiety. A study in Mindfulness Journal found that RAIN reduces emotional reactivity by decoupling the self from transient thoughts. For example, instead of I'm an angry person, you learn, anger is here, and it will pass. Case example, breaking the cycle of rumination. David, a law student, constantly replayed mistakes in his head. That was stupid. Everyone noticed. Through mindfulness, he learned to catch the thought, recognize, soften his self-criticism, accept. Ask, is this truly helpful? Investigate. Remind himself, these are thoughts, not facts. Non-identify. Within weeks, his rumination decreased, and he reported feeling lighter, proof that mindfulness doesn't erase challenges, but changes how we hold them. The freedom of detachment mindfulness isn't about emptying the mind, but about changing your relationship with your thoughts. Like tuning a radio, you learn to adjust the volume on negativity while amplifying clarity. Each time you observe a thought without judgment, you reinforce a profound truth. You are not your thoughts, you are the awareness behind them, and that awareness is always already free. Try today. Set a timer for 5 minutes. Practice the breathing meditation, and when a worry arises, apply rain. Notice what shifts. Chapter 6. Building Resilience Through Adversity. Resilience isn't an innate trait possessed only by the extraordinary. It's a muscle forged through the deliberate practice of facing difficulty and choosing to grow from it. Consider J.K. Rowling, who penned Harry Potter while unemployed, depressed, and raising a child alone. 12 publishers rejected her manuscript before Bloomsbury took a chance, not because she was immune to despair, but because she refused to let rejection define her. Or take Thomas Edison, who famously reframed his 10,000 failed attempts at inventing the light bulb. "I have not failed, I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." These stories reveal a universal truth. Adversity doesn't determine your destiny. Your response to it does. The difference between those who crumble under setbacks and those who rise lies in cognitive reframing. The ability to reinterpret challenges as opportunities rather than dead ends. When failure strikes, resilient people ask, "What is this teaching me?" instead of "Why does this always happen to me?" A study from the University of Pennsylvania found that individuals who viewed stress as a normal, even beneficial part of growth, rather than a threat, produced less cortisol and performed better under pressure. This shift in perspective transforms obstacles into stepping stones. One practical strategy is the 10-year test. When facing a crisis, ask, "Will this matter in a decade?" Most daily frustrations, a missed promotion, a harsh comment, a botched presentation, shrink in significance when viewed through the lens of time. This doesn't minimize pain, but contextualizes it, creating space to prioritize what truly matters. Another key to resilience is normalizing struggle. Research on post-traumatic growth shows that over 50% of trauma survivors report positive psychological changes afterward, such as deeper relationships, renewed purpose, or heightened personal strength. The common thread: they made meaning from their suffering. A cancer survivor might credit their illness for teaching them to cherish small joys. A fired employee might realize their career needed redirection. This isn't toxic positivity. It's acknowledging that even the darkest experiences can yield unexpected gifts. To cultivate this mindset, try writing about a past challenge and its lessons. Describe the event factually. Then explore: what strengths did I discover in myself? How did this shape my values? Would I be who I am today without it? For example, a divorce might reveal resilience you never knew you had, or teach you the importance of setting boundaries. By extracting meaning from pain, you reclaim agency over your narrative. Resilience also thrives on flexible thinking. Psychologist Carol Dweck's work on growth mindset proves that believing in your capacity to improve, rather than seeing abilities as fixed, fuels perseverance. When a project flops, a growth-minded person thinks, "This didn't work, but I can adapt," while a fixed mindset spirals into, "I'm just not good at this." Cultivate flexibility by adding "yet" to self-limiting statements. "I haven't mastered this yet." Ultimately, resilience isn't about avoiding falls, but learning how to land. Every time you choose to rise after rejection, to mine wisdom from failure, or to ask, "What's next?" instead of "Why me?" you reinforce a neural pathway of perseverance. Life will inevitably knock you down, but the power to decide whether it breaks you or builds you lies within the stories you tell yourself. As Holocaust survivor, Viktor Frankl wrote, "Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom." Grab a journal and reflect on a past adversity. Write freely about what happened, how it felt, and crucially, how it changed you. Did it reveal hidden strengths, clarify your priorities, teach you compassion? This exercise isn't about dismissing pain but reclaiming its purpose. By doing so, you'll begin to see yourself not as a victim of circumstance, but as an active participant in your own evolution. Chapter 7. Surrounding yourself with positivity. The environments we inhabit, both physical and social, act as silent architects of our mindset, subtly shaping our thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. Like plants responding to sunlight or polluted soil, human beings thrive or wither based on what surrounds them. Research in social psychology confirms that emotions are contagious. A phenomenon known as emotional contagion means we unconsciously catch the moods of those around us, whether uplifting or toxic. A Harvard study tracking happiness over 20 years found that people surrounded by positive individuals were significantly more likely to report increased life satisfaction, proving that who we spend time with influences not just our day, but our destiny. This principle extends beyond people, the media we consume, the spaces we occupy. Even the clutter on our desks send constant signals to our nervous system. A study in the Journal of Neuroscience revealed that chaotic environments increase cortisol levels, triggering stress responses that cloud judgment and drain energy. Conversely, organized, aesthetically pleasing spaces promote clarity and calm. Similarly, the content we ingest, doom-scrolling news feeds versus inspiring books, aggressive television versus nature documentaries, primes our brains toward anxiety or optimism. The mind is an echo chamber. It amplifies whatever we feed it most. Auditing your social circle. The energy equation. Not all relationships are created equal. Some people leave us feeling energized, seen, and capable. Others drain us with complaints, criticism, or constant drama. To assess your social environment, conduct a simple energy audit. 1. List the 5 people you interact with, most family, friends, coworkers. 2. After each interaction, note how you feel. Inspired, drained, anxious. 3. Ask yourself, does this person celebrate my wins or minimize them? Do they respect my boundaries or push against them? This isn't about cutting people out indiscriminately. Some relationships are obligations, and others may simply need recalibration, but it is about recognizing whose presence aligns with your growth. A telling study from the University of California found that individuals with strong social support networks recovered from setbacks 50% faster than those without. Surrounding yourself with encouragers, problem solvers, and those who model resilience isn't selfish, it's strategic. Setting boundaries with toxic influences. Not every negative influence can be removed, but all can be managed. Boundaries act as filters, allowing you to engage without being engulfed. For the coworker who constantly vents, I want to support you, but I'm focusing on staying positive today. Maybe we can brainstorm solutions instead. For the relative who undermines your goals, I've decided this is important to me, so I'd appreciate it if you'd respect that. With media, set literal limits, delete apps that fuel comparison, schedule no news hours, or curate feeds to include uplifting accounts. Physical spaces matter too. A Princeton University study found that visual clutter reduces focus and increases stress. Small changes, a plant on your desk, calming colors, or a designated quiet corner, can shift your mental state. Even soundscapes play a role. Background noise, like traffic, spikes cortisol, while nature sounds or instrumental music enhance concentration. The ripple effect of intentional environments. Positivity isn't about avoiding reality, but curating inputs that empower you to face it. When you protect your attention from chronic complainers, sensationalized media, and chaotic spaces, you preserve mental bandwidth for what truly matters. Over time, these choices compound. You'll notice your default thoughts growing lighter, your resilience stronger, and your capacity to handle challenges expanding. Not because life got easier, but because you built an ecosystem that helps you grow through it. This week, eliminate one source of negativity, unfollow an account that stirs envy, have a boundary conversation with a draining person, or declutter your workspace. Replace it with something uplifting, a motivational podcast, a gratitude-focused friend, or a 5-minute morning ritual, like lighting a candle or jotting an intention. Environments don't change overnight, but each small edit shifts the balance toward a life that nourishes, not depletes. Chapter 8. The role of self-compassion. The way we speak to ourselves in moments of failure or insecurity shapes our emotional resilience more than we realize. While self-criticism operates like a harsh drill sergeant, punishing mistakes with relentless scrutiny, self-compassion acts as a wise, kind friend, offering understanding and encouragement when we stumble. Dr. Kristen Neff, a pioneering researcher on self-compassion, defines it as a 3-part practice: Self-kindness, softening our inner dialogue. Common humanity, recognizing that suffering is part of the shared human experience. And mindfulness, holding our pain in balanced awareness without over-dramatizing or suppressing it. Her studies reveal that self-compassionate people experience less anxiety and depression, recover from setbacks faster, and are more motivated to improve because they aren't paralyzed by shame. Self-criticism, on the other hand, triggers the brain's threat system, flooding the body with cortisol and adrenaline. This might create short-term bursts of effort, driven by fear of inadequacy, but over time it erodes confidence and leads to burnout. A study in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology found that students who practice self-compassion after failing a test were 40% more likely to study harder for the next one, while self-critical students avoided further effort to protect their self-esteem. The difference lies in safety. Self-compassion creates psychological security, making it easier to face challenges without fear of self-flagellation. The friend test, a simple shift in perspective. One of the most powerful ways to cultivate self-compassion is to ask, how would I respond to a loved one in this situation? Imagine a friend confessing they messed up at work or felt insecure about their appearance. Would you call them a failure or remind them of their strengths? The gap between how we treat others and how we treat ourselves often reveals unnecessary cruelty. Try this exercise. 1. Write down a recent struggle, for example, I snapped at my partner and feel guilty. 2. Compose a letter to yourself as if comforting a friend. You were stressed and human. Apologize, learn, and move forward. 3. Notice the difference in tone between your usual self-talk and this compassionate response. Dr. Neff's research shows that just 5 minutes of this practice can lower stress hormones and activate the brain's caregiving system, releasing oxytocin and endorphins that promote emotional soothing. Affirmations for common insecurities. Affirmations work when they're grounded in reality and self-acceptance, not empty positivity. For recurring self-doubts, try these evidence-based reframes. For perfectionism, progress matters more than perfection. My worth isn't earned through flawless performance. For comparison, someone else's success doesn't diminish mine. I'm on my own path. For shame spirals, mistakes are part of growth. I can repair and rebuild. For imposter syndrome, I belong here. I've prepared and I'm capable of learning what I don't yet know. A study in Clinical Psychology Review found that participants who used such affirmations for 30 days reported significantly higher self-esteem and reduced rumination. The key is repetition. Neural pathways rewire through consistent practice. The courage to be kind to yourself. Self-compassion isn't self-indulgence. It's the foundation of resilience. By treating ourselves with the same patience we'd offer a struggling friend, we build an inner sanctuary of stability. Over time, this transforms our relationship with failure, from something to dread into an inevitable, even valuable, part of being human. As Neff reminds us, you don't have to feel better to start being kinder to yourself. The kindness is what helps you feel better. Action step. For the next week, replace one daily self-critical thought with a compassionate alternative. Keep a log of shifts in your mood and motivation. Small acts of self-mercy, repeated, can quiet the inner critic and make space for genuine growth. Chapter 9. Creating a positive daily routine. The way we begin and end our days sets the tone for everything in between. Neuroscience reveals that morning and nighttime routines act as bookends to our consciousness. The first hours after waking and before sleeping are when the brain is most receptive to reprogramming. A study from Notre Dame University found that individuals who started their day with intentional rituals reported higher focus, emotional stability, and productivity compared to those who immediately checked emails or social media. Similarly, research in sleep medicine shows that nighttime routines directly impact sleep quality, which in turn affects mood regulation and cognitive function. By designing routines that nourish rather than deplete, we create a foundation for sustained positivity. The science-backed morning routine. The first hour after waking is a neurological reset. What you do during this window shapes your mental state for hours. Instead of reaching for your phone, which triggers stress hormones through information overload, try this research-supported sequence. 1. Hydrate before caffeinate. Drink a glass of water. Overnight dehydration raises cortisol. Rehydrating lowers it. A University of Connecticut study found even mild dehydration impairs mood and focus. 2. Move your body. Whether it's yoga, a walk, or stretching, Movement releases endorphins. A Journal of Health Psychology study showed just 10 minutes of exercise boosts vitality and reduces tension. 3. Set an intention. Say or write one phrase to guide your day. I choose patience, or I embrace challenges as opportunities. This primes the brain's reticular activating system to spot supportive experience. 4. Consume uplifting inputs. Listen to a motivational podcast or read an inspiring book instead of news. University of Pennsylvania research found morning exposure to negative media increases anxiety throughout the day. Sample morning schedule: 6:30 a.m. Wake, hydrate 6:40 a.m. 15-minute walk outside. Sunlight regulates circadian rhythms. 7 a.m. Intention setting plus gratitude journal. 3 things you appreciate. 7:15 a.m. Healthy breakfast, protein and fats. Stabilize blood sugar. 7:30 a.m. Prioritize top 3 tasks for the day. Avoids decision fatigue. The wind down ritual. Nighttime positivity. Sleep quality dictates emotional resilience. A Harvard Medical School study linked poor sleep to heightened negativity bias. The brain's tendency to focus on threats. To counter this: 1. Digital sunset. Power down screens 60+ minutes before bed. Blue light suppresses melatonin, delaying sleep onset by up to 3 hours. Sleep health journal. 2. Reflect on wins. Write down 3 small successes from the day. This trains the brain to scan for positives. Journal of Positive Psychology. 3. Prepare for tomorrow. Lay out clothes. Jot tomorrow's priorities. This reduces morning decision stress. American Psychological Association. 4. Relax the nervous system. Try 4-7-8. Breathing: inhale 4 seconds, hold 7, exhale 8, or progressive muscle relaxation. A University of California study found these techniques lower heart rate and quiet mental chatter. Sample evening schedule: 9 p.m. Screen curfew 9:15 p.m. Warm tea, chamomile, or decaf, plus gratitude notes. 9:30 p.m. Light stretching or reading fiction, non-work related. 10 p.m. Lights out habit stacking. The Lazy Genius's Guide to Consistency. James Clear's Atomic Habits Principle. Pairing new habits with existing ones makes routines stick. Examples: after brushing your teeth. Existing habit: say an affirmation. New habit: while waiting for coffee to brew, do 5 squats. Before checking email in the morning, write your intention. A European Journal of Social Psychology study confirmed that habit stacking increases adherence by up to 300% compared to standalone habits. The 21-day Positive Habit Challenge. Neuroplasticity research shows it takes 21 days to rewire a neural pathway. Choose one negative habit to replace. Instead of scrolling social media in bed, negative: read 10 pages of an inspiring book. Positive: instead of complaining about work. Negative: list one thing you learned that day. Positive: instead of hitting snooze. Negative: place your alarm across the room and stretch upon waking. Positive: track progress in a calendar. Each successful day gets a checkmark. The visual chain builds motivation. Seinfeld strategy. The ripple effect of small changes. Routines aren't about rigid control. They're about creating micro-environments where positivity thrives effortlessly. When you design mornings to energize and evenings to restore, you're not just managing time, you're curating a lifestyle that aligns with your best self. Over weeks, these small shifts compound into profound changes. More patience, sharper focus, and a default setting of optimism. Action step. For the next 21 days, commit to one morning or evening habit swap. Use habit stacking to anchor it to an existing behavior. Notice how this single change influences your mood, energy, and outlook. Remember, transformation isn't about perfection. It's about progression, one intentional day at a time. Chapter 10. Sustaining long-term change. Change is never linear. It spirals forward, loops back, and sometimes stalls entirely. Even with the best intentions, old thought patterns can resurface during stress, fatigue, or unexpected setbacks. Neuroscience explains this through the brain's preference for familiar pathways. Negative thinking, like a well-worn trail, often feels easier to traverse than forging new mental routes. A University College London study found that 66% of people attempting behavioral changes relapse within 6 months, not due to lack of willpower, but because they mistake temporary lapses for total failure. The key to lasting transformation lies not in avoiding backslides, but in developing strategies to navigate them with self-awareness and compassion. When negativity creeps back in, the first step is normalizing the experience. Relapse isn't evidence of weakness. It's part of the rewiring process. Research in health psychology shows that individuals who anticipate and plan for setbacks are 42% more likely to maintain progress long-term. Instead of self-flagellation, close your eyes and issue, and back to square one. Try reframing. This is a temporary dip, not an erasure of my growth. A practical tool is the 5-minute reset. When overwhelmed, pause to name what's happening. Close your eyes and I'm catastrophizing again. Take slow breaths to calm the nervous system and choose one small action to shift momentum. For example, texting an encouraging friend or reviewing past wins in a journal. Strategies for anchoring progress. 1. Progress tracking. Visual evidence of growth counteracts the brain's negativity bias, which magnifies failures and minimizes successes. Keep a wins journal, daily or weekly entries, noting positive actions, no matter how small. Close your eyes, meditated for 5 minutes. Set a boundary with a draining coworker. Over time, this creates an objective record to reference during discouragement. A Journal of Behavioral Medicine study found participants who tracked progress this way were twice as likely to sustain new habits. 2. Accountability partners. Willpower is finite. Social support is renewable. Pairing with someone who shares similar goals creates mutual motivation. The American Society of Training and Development reports that accountability increases success rates by up to 95%. For best results, establish clear check-ins. Close your eyes. Every Friday, we share one victory and one challenge, and celebrate each other's progress. This isn't about policing, but about witnessing. Knowing someone else sees your efforts reinforces commitment. 3. Environmental triggers. Design your surroundings to nudge you toward positivity. Place affirmations on your bathroom mirror. Set phone reminders with encouraging quotes, or keep a gratitude notebook beside your coffee maker. A Princeton Neuroscience Institute study confirmed that visible cues significantly increase habit adherence by reducing reliance on memory or motivation. The power of future self-visualization. The brain struggles to connect present actions with distant outcomes, which is why we often prioritize short-term comfort over long-term growth. Bridging this gap requires making the future feel real. Neuroscientific research from Stanford University demonstrates that vividly imagining your future self activates the same brain regions used for self-reflection, strengthening emotional connection to long-term goals. Final exercise. Letter from your future self. Set aside 20 minutes to write a letter from the future you, 1, 5, or 10 years ahead to the present you. Describe in rich detail how you've grown. Remember when negative thoughts felt overwhelming. Now you greet them with curiosity and let them pass. Challenges you overcame. That career setback became the push you needed to start your own business. Daily life in this positive mindset. You wake up excited, not anxious. Your relationships are deeper because you stop projecting old fears onto them. This exercise isn't fantasy. It's cognitive rehearsal. A Journal of Clinical Psychology study found that participants who practiced future self-visualization reported 30% higher motivation and persistence in goal pursuit. The letter serves as both compass and anchor, reminding you during tough moments that temporary discomfort is the price of lasting change. The art of gentle persistence. Sustaining change is less about dramatic overhauls and more about returning again and again to practices that realign you. On days when negativity dominates, aim for minimum viable positivity. One deep breath, one grateful thought, one tiny step forward. Progress compounds not through perfection, but through persistence. As psychologist Carl Rogers observed, the curious paradox is that when I accept myself just as I am, then I can change. Action step. When you notice a relapse into negativity this week, pause and ask, what would my future self tell me right now? Then take one action they'd applaud, whether it's reaching out for support, reviewing past progress, or simply offering yourself kindness. Each time you do this, you're not just recovering, you're reinforcing a lifelong ability to rise. Chapter 11. Overcoming specific negativity triggers. Negativity often strikes in predictable situations during high-pressure work deadlines, after scrolling social media or following tense interactions. These triggers activate automatic thought patterns before we even realize what's happening. The key to intercepting them lies in preemptive strategy, creating personalized if-then responses that reroute knee-jerk reactions into intentional choices. Cognitive behavioral research from New York University shows that people who prepare specific coping plans for triggers reduce negative emotional responses by 60% compared to those who rely on willpower alone. Work stress, from overwhelm to ownership. Workplace stress often triggers catastrophizing fan. This project will fail, and I'll get fired. Or personalizations, dang. So my boss is short with me. I must have done something wrong. To disrupt this spiral, when a deadline feels overwhelming, I will break the task into 3 smaller steps and focus only on the first one. When I receive critical feedback, I will ask myself, what part of this can help me grow, before reacting. When I compare myself to more experienced colleagues, I will remind myself, they were once beginners too. My journey is my own. A Journal of Occupational Health Psychology study found that employees who use such micro-strategies reported 40% lower stress levels and higher job satisfaction. Social comparison, scrolling without suffering. Social media often fuels false comparisons. Their life looks perfect. Why isn't mine? The brain treats curated highlight reels as reality, triggering feelings of inadequacy. Reset the dynamic with, when I catch myself envying someone's post, I will list 3 things I appreciate about my own life. When I mindlessly scroll for more than 10 minutes, I will close the app and call a friend instead. When I feel pressured to portray a perfect image online, I will post something authentically imperfect to balance the narrative. Research from San Diego State University reveals that people who implement these boundaries reduce social media-induced depression by 35%. Conflict and rejection. Softening the blow, interpersonal tensions can ignite defensiveness. Okay. They're attacking me, or self-doubt. Okay. If they don't like me, I'm unlovable. Try these pivots. When someone's tone upsets me, I will assume positive intent and ask for clarification. I want to understand, can you rephrase that? When I'm excluded from plans, I will remind myself, this isn't a referendum on my worth. People have complex reasons for their actions. When I ruminate post-argument, I will write down 3 possible interpretations beyond the worst-case scenario. A Harvard study on rejection found that participants who practiced this interpretive flexibility recovered their self-esteem twice as fast as those who fixated on one negative explanation. The power of prepared responses. Like a fire drill, rehearsing these strategies makes them accessible when emotions run high. Keep a note in your phone or wallet listing your top 3 triggers and planned responses. Over time, these intentional reactions rewire neural pathways. What once felt automatic becomes a conscious choice. Action step. Identify one recurring negativity trigger this week. Design a specific when X happens. I will Y response and test it. Notice how preparation transforms reactivity into resilience. The goal isn't to eliminate triggers, but to change your relationship with them, from victim to strategist.